Hi there, this is Gareth Robinson for Gareth on AI, where I show you real life examples of how you can use AI in your business life, your personal life, just your day to day life, really. Today, I'm going to talk to you about an AI tool that I'm using quite regularly now with my children to learn new topics in a fun way, in a fun, interactive way. The product I'm going to talk to you about is called Google Notebook LM. It's a Google product, surprisingly. Um, and I felt compelled to put this video together just to sort of bring it to life as to what you can do with it. I've been very much an OpenAI ChatGPT user for the past 12 months. And I also use Copilot in work, which sits on top of ChatGPT. But right now, Google are really they're very prolific in the creation of new products, with Google Notebook LM being one of them. I saw a slide recently, and I'll put it in the notes below in the comments or in the description, about how Gemini is starting to catch up in terms of usage versus ChatGPT. So OpenAI is still dominant, but it's very interesting to see how Google is increasing its share of usage. And I can see why that's the case with the ecosystem that they have and the products that they have. What we're talking about when I talk about Google Notebook LM, I've got the homepage, promotional landing page talking about Notebook LM here for business, and I'll try and give you a bit of an overview from my perspective. So it's built with Gemini. There's a free version available and a paid for, a pro version if you want it. It's been available to the public since October 2024, so it's been around a while. I was introduced to it back in August last year. One of my ex-colleagues from a company I worked at, he's now a lecturer at Bristol University, and he has been using Notebook LM really successfully for creators' lectures, and it's fantastic. So what is Google Notebook LM? It's an AI-powered research assistant. What makes it different from just going to OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Gemini and just typing in prompts and commands and getting material pulled back to you? It's more of I call it almost like a walled garden. You load the content that you want to talk about. So if there's a topic you want to go into depth on, you load, and I'll show you this in a minute, you load the sources into LM, and that then, the benefit of that is that it reduces the chances of inaccuracies and those famous hallucinations we hear so much about, where it's just blatantly making stuff up, as we say, which is really frustrating. So that's one of the benefits of this software. But think of it as a partner, like a research partner, like a colleague, like a trusted colleague that you work with, and it's a personalized AI environment, and it's an expert on the information you provide it. So you load your information in on a topic, and then you go from there. In terms of why I've been using it, I've got a bit of a story about that. So I live in Pembrokeshire, West Wales, and recently we've been lucky enough to see the Aurora Borealis, aka the Northern Lights. You normally see those in the Nordic territories, think Norway, Sweden. You see them in Iceland, and they're stunning. They're a stunning visual. But they've been in Pembrokeshire recently, and my children were curious about it. What is it? Why is it here? In terms of ages, my children are still 8, 10 years old. I must admit, I'll be humble here. I wasn't really well versed in the topic, so I needed to do a bit of research. So I used Google Notebook LM as a research partner to help me, first of all, understand it better, but also to create a lot of useful interactive interactive material. So, as we all know, all children and adults, for that matter, learn in very different ways. Some like to have video, some people like to read, some people like to be quizzed. We're all different. There's not one size fits all. But with Google Notebook LM, it enables you to create material which caters for all of those different scenarios. So anyway, enough talk about the theory, because I think one of the things I'd like to do with these videos, I was never good with the theory in school or university, is just driving it and using it. So what we're going to do next is go to the Notebook LM website. So I've got another tab open here. So what we're going to do, so this is the Notebook LM environment. So it's notebooklm.google.com. And I'm going to create a new notebook, and I'm going to just show you what the environment looks like before I show you the one that I created earlier. So for people old enough, Blue Peter used to say one I created earlier. I've got the one I did for the Aurora Borealis. So I will show you that as well. So let's go into create new notebook. So you hit this plus button here. That creates it. And then you're presented with this little pane here where it says create audio and video overviews from websites, YouTube videos. So as I said earlier, it's multimodal. So what you do, the options here, as you can see, are pretty self-explanatory. You can insert copy text. You can go to your Google Drive. You can load in websites, and you can upload files. Now, bear in mind, I haven't been to university for many years, and I didn't really study Aurora Borealis. I haven't got any of my own pre-written files on it. So my main route was websites. So what you do is you paste the URLs of relevant websites on the subject of Aurora Borealis. So this takes a bit of heavy lifting, a bit of effort. So I went to Google, did some more traditional searches for useful, credible sources. Think university sources, but also think children friendly. Because as I said earlier, this is for 8 to 10-year-olds. This isn't someone who's doing a PhD or a master's or even undergrad. So it's very much for that age group. So I was looking for more sources which were for children. So I put a set of URLs in there from credible websites, and you have to look at them. So it's not just look at the results in Google then just assume they're okay. You have to do a bit of checking, because there's that classic saying garbage in, garbage out. I didn't want that. So imagine you paste your URLs here, and then they appear. This is where we can actually look at the sort of layout of Notebook LM. You can see it's divided into 3 sections. On your left, you have got your sources. So this is where you add your sources, as I did a moment ago. And then your sources get added here. So what I found as well, this is the real life experience I had. If it's behind a paywall, I found a really nice article from the Times, but because they've got those lovely paywalls, it rejects it. So, and I'll show you an example of a rejection in a minute. You can also do research here. So rather than just uploading them, you can do fast research or deep research. Deep research is more if you really want to go, obviously, deep into the topic. Maybe someone who's doing a PhD or an undergrad, not necessarily for an 8-year-old. So I was just doing, you can use fast research. So imagine you've added your sources here, and then you get to this central panel here. And this is where prompting comes into play. And I'll show you the prompts I used earlier, or my commands. And I would put in here, create me a interactive course on the topic of Aurora Borealis, and then make it fun, engaging, and you also have to say using my sources, and those then refers to the sources on the left hand side. Another thing to do, another little tip, and this is something I got wrong, so I'm going to go through all the things that tripped me up, was you've got a little configure setting here. So you've got default, learning guide, or custom. And I first did it with learning guide, but what was better was to use custom. So for example, you can see it's got an example, a pre-canned example here. Customize the style, respond at a PhD student level. So what I did here was respond at a level which is appropriate for 8 to 10-year-olds. I didn't do that the first time, and when the first batch of content, which I'll come to in a minute, came through, I was like, wow, this is quite highbrow. So it wasn't suitable for the 8 to 10-year-old group. So you specify in this area here your sort of type of level of content. So imagine you've put your prompts in here, where you cite your sources, and then on the right hand side you've got your studio. So on this studio area is where it all comes alive, so to speak. So if you remember earlier, I said that children and adults learn in different ways. The output that's derived from these sources, so it's using all of these sources here, and then you have these different outputs within the studio. So you've got an audio overview, so you can do it in a podcast format. You can do a short video. You can do a mind map if you like those sort of things. Also, flashcards and quizzes. So I was able to create quizzes. infographic, so it's just a nice little summary of what Aurora Borealis was, and then a slide deck. I'll come to the slide deck in a minute, and data table, which I didn't use that for this particular one. You'll notice there's a little pencil icon next to them. So with that here, when you've got your sources, one of the things I did, there's a lot of talk about Minecraft. Every other video I see on YouTube is you're assuming all children love Minecraft. Mine do like Minecraft, but they also like Animal Crossing. So I asked it to do the slides in the style of Animal Crossing, which my daughter really likes to play. So I thought that would have a good cut through and resonate with her. So this is a bit more of the theory, and this is the sort of way the screens are laid out. So just as a takeaway, you have your sources area, you have your chat area. Well, I'll show you the output from that in a minute. And then you've got your studio, which is where the studio output appears here. So let's go across to my tab, because as I said, this is a real life example of something I've done. So this is my screen. So you can see it's a lot busier. Okay, so you'll see my sources are on the left hand side. So you can see from Newsround, which I used to watch when I was a child. So I've got How Do the Northern Lights Happen? I've got Learn All About the Northern Lights for kids. Northern Lights Wikipedia, it's still got some good content there. So you can see there's multiple sources. And what I also did, so I mentioned earlier that we had the phenomenon of the Northern Lights in Pembrokeshire recently. I included a few articles about the Pembrokeshire experience with the Northern Lights, just to try and integrate that into my content. And I also, what you can see, you can see them here, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then below there, you'll see what I mentioned earlier, some that were rejected because of paywalls. Never mind, I had enough fantastic content. I would say building your learning environment's really key. Spend some time on this. And you've got your grounded research, then you've got your really good quality content. And as I said, it pulls the content of the output on the right hand side in terms of your studio material is derived from these sources here. Then we'll talk about prompts. This is an area I'm still trying to improve at, so I know I've got some work to do. But I did some research on some prompts from other successful people who are using it in this way. So I've got using facts from my sources, tell a short story that explains the Aurora Borealis to an 8-year-old. I've also put in here, please make reference to the recent Northern Lights event in Pembrokeshire, because I was really keen to try and tie it into a local event. Using my sources, design a short learning course. So this is what I love about this. So other topics, we're talking about Aurora Borealis today. My son is interested about the pyramids in Egypt. Another one is interested about coffee growing and the whole process behind that. So this is an excellent resource to build some real high quality output. So I'm really excited about it. So as I said, this is your prompt area here. You've also got, it has the sources. So for each of these statements, so you can see here, it's generating the output. And then you've got all the sources for each of the things that they say. And then what you do is you save the things you like the look of. Like I really like this lesson structure that they put together with five lessons. Then what you do is save them to notes. And then these notes go on the right hand side. So if you look on the right hand side here, you'll see the notes which I've lifted from the central chat column. And then what I then did was you create your material using Studio. So I'm not going to repeat myself too much because I talked about it on when I showed you the blank ones. What I'd love to show you now is some of the output briefly.